Sallu ala al-Habib sallallahu ta'ala ala Muhammad sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wasallam. Dear viewers of social media, it's Monday being the birthday of the Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wasallam, a very special day. And Alhamdulillah, within the Madani environment of Dawat Islami, our Shaykh Tariqat Amiri al Sunnat, Damat Barakatum Aliyah, gives us the mindset that we should observe fasting on Monday if possible, just acting upon the Sunnah of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, where he said that I was born on Monday and I was given the prophethood on the day of Monday as well, and this is why the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam used to fast every Monday. Alhamdulillah. Welcome to our Fazan Madina Leicester Facebook page. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to everyone. Today I am back again with the life of a scholar, and as you can see on the screen that we got a very special guest. Sallu ala al-Habib sallallahu ta'ala ala Muhammad sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam. We've got a very special guest, and that is Qamar Ilyas Attari Al-Madani. You can do the ziyarat of him. Qamar bhai, ahlan wa sahlan, marhaba, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you
First
for
of
hosting me,
all,
Dr. Sab.
Thank you very much for your time and being on our panel as a guest today to discuss life of a scholar. Now, the aim of this program is that we educate the public on Dawat Islami services as well as Jamiatul Madina, and also some success stories of Jamiatul Madina. And Alhamdulillah Azza wa Jal, Qamar bhai is one of the success stories of Jamiatul Madina. We'll come to know more about this as well. Before I actually go and start asking questions to Qamar bhai, you can obviously ask your question to Qamar bhai and via comments in the comment box. Also, Alhamdulillah Azza wa Jal, every day I'm live on this page from 4:40, 20 to 5 until 5:15. And 3 days a week, our segment is Health is Wealth, where we talk about a number of different medical problems. And the topic areas we've covered is vitamin D deficiency, lower back pain, knee pain, diabetes, elderly problems like dementia, falls. And just yesterday, our topic was heartburn. Now, I invite other doctors as well, and they come and talk. And inshallah, Azza wa Jal, during the week, every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday, we have that silsila. Then we got other Islamic brothers who run other courses via Facebook page, the Tajweed class that happens 5:40. Also, Darse Quran at Zuhur time around 1:30. And then there is also halqa in the morning and munajat iftar. So I'd like to request all the viewers to like our page, share it, watch it yourself, and share it with others as well. So let's come to Qamar bhai. So Qamar bhai, Alhamdulillah, ever since I have been in the Madani environment of Dawat Islami, I have seen you with Dawat Islami. Now, clearly, you do a lot of Madani work behind the scenes and also on the front as well. We've seen many of us have seen you, mashallah, with beautiful speeches on the Madani channel, very knowledgeable, very learning. So tell us about yourself. When did you actually learn about Dawat Islami? When did you find out about Dawat Islami? How did you find out about Dawat Islami? How old were you? So just the beginnings.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina wa Mawlana Muhammad kama tuhibbu wa tarda. Dr. Sab, I think it's quite strange. How did I become aware of Dawat Islami? I would attend my Urdu class as part of the Urdu and Nazra Quran reading at my local masjid. And I was lucky enough to have a very good Urdu teacher, namely Ustad Iqbal Bhatti Sahab, who, mashallah, he has a poetic side to his personality as well. And he was very keen to instill the love of reading in his students. And every Friday he would pick an Islamic subject, and he would lecture or mention some points about that particular subject. One occasion he brought with him a book. It was like greenish in color, and it said Fazan Sunnat on that book.
MashaAllah.
And obviously I had no idea. None of us had any idea of Dawat Islami and Amir Dawat Islami, Sheikh Tariqat. My Urdu teacher said this is a book which has become very famous in Pakistan, and it's every Friday we'll have a lecture from this book or a reading from this book. And we happened to borrow the book for take turns, take home, and then bring it to the lesson. So I was
This was here in UK.
in the UK, yes, in the UK.
Okay,
So I was
mashallah.
probably about 12 years old at the time.
Mhm.
And so you can imagine, I'm sitting in the masjid with Fazan Sunnat in my hand. I have absolutely no
Mashallah.
idea of Dawat Islami. And there's only one brother, local brother of Dawat Islami in the whole area. And he happens to walk into the masjid and he sees a 12-year-old with Fazan Sunnat in his lap
Which
reading.
year was it?
Uh, this was in the, I don't know the exact year,
So
96, possibly 96 maybe.
okay, very early on. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, he came in, and obviously Dr. Sabi was shocked because
Mm.
he doesn't know, he's not met me before. And then he says to me, "Do you know about this book?" And I said, "Well, my Urdu teacher told me to read it." He said, "This book is for dars, and dars is like a reading that you do. And mashallah, you can read Urdu. I can see that because you're reading it now.
Mashallah.
How about you do a dars in the masjid?" He just said it, and I didn't even think about it. And I said, "Yeah, okay, that's fine." I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I just said
Uh-huh.
yes to a reading of Fizan Sunnat in
Yeah.
the masjid, and from then on, I my first dars began a few days later. He went through the whole method. He showed me. He introduced Dawat Islami to me. He told me about Amir Ahl Sunnat, and my first dars was done. It was a good job that I was wearing, mashallah, the shalwar kameez type, kurta and kameez type dress because my legs were literally shaking. But
Mm.
alhamdulillah, I managed to pull through, and a lot of encouragement from the elders. So from then on, it was just going further and further into the organization and learning
So
about the
who could have
organization.
known at that time that this
Hmm.
young boy, 12 years old, who is reading Fazan
Hmm.
Sunnat, he will actually
Hmm.
continue to become a scholar of Islam. Do you happen to know
Yeah.
who that Islamic brother was?
Yes, yes. I always mention his name to my students, and you probably know him as well. You'll smile when I mention him. You probably know Arif Bhai from. He has this gift shop on
Yeah,
Madani gift shop
exactly.
on the Gibsonian.
Mashallah, mashallah. May
Yeah.
Allah Azza wa Jal reward him. He's
Mhm.
got his two
Ameen.
sons as well, mashallah, very active
Mashallah.
Islamic brother. May
Mashallah.
Allah Azza wa Jal keep him protected from the
Mashallah.
evil eyes. Mashallah.
Ameen.
Very good, very good. So that's how you started. So I'd like to actually
Hmm.
mention this to the viewers of our social media page, that how a small good deed can actually turn into something very, very big, not just for yourself, not just for that person, but for the community. Now, okay, I mean, this was the initial spark that then obviously led our Kamar Bhai to embark on this, obviously becoming a student and so forth within Dawat Islami. We'll obviously ask questions, but who could have thought that just that Arif Bhai coming to him in the early years and asking him to give thus. So, you never know. So never ever leave a small good deed, and
Yes.
always keep trying to invite other towards good. Okay, so you
Mashallah.
gave
Mashallah.
thus, then let's move on forward. What happened then?
Yes, I think I had an advantage because I was able to speak Urdu. I was able to understand Urdu. I was able to translate Urdu, and a lot of it is down to, I think my grounding was very good. Alhamdulillah, my mom, she was very, very strict on our routine, so we couldn't go out to play as kids unless we wrote a whole page of Urdu. That was a very strict routine, and we loved
So you
playing.
had to
So
earn your playtime, and that's a very good
yes,
strategy.
yes, we did, and we see, mashallah, we saw the benefits of that later in life, and we still see the benefits of that grounding today. And I mentioned my Urdu teacher, so in terms of pronunciation of Urdu words, because he was so meticulous, mashallah, The pronunciation side improved and the reading side improved more. And then with Dawat Islami, as you know, Dr. Sab, initially a lot of our brothers, they'd come over from Pakistan, or because obviously Amir Ahl Sunnat is from Karachi, Babul Madina Karachi, so the Urdu language, his speeches. So I found myself in a position where I was asked to translate some of the speeches of Amir Ahl Sunnat,
MashaAllah.
and the very first speech that I translated, I think from beginning to end, to the best of my ability. I mean, the couplets were a bit difficult for me. And Dila ghafil na ho yakdam ye dunya chhod jana. That was a bit difficult for me at that age, but I managed to get the hadith. The first speech was Qabr ka imtihan that I translated. And I just translated it because I was told to do so. The brother who asked me to do this, he had a bigger plan, and that was that I would deliver a speech. So not long after that initial phase, probably months later, I was on stage delivering a speech in Bradford, and it was from that same speech of Amir Ahl Sunnat. So that was a big turning point. So that was the first public address, and the strange thing about that, Doctor, was that I didn't have a chance to practice it, like in a local small gathering. So I was thrown straight into the deep end. But
Okay.
I guess I was able to. I had some confidence because of my dars, practicing with dars, so I could stand up in front of people. But obviously, delivering a speech is a whole different thing.
So was this some sort of ijtima at a local
Yes,
level, or
it was kind of a UK level
okay?
ijtima. If I remember rightly, it was an old cinema. We had the ijtima there. Some of the older brothers would remember, and that's where I started talking. My speeches started from then on.
MashaAllah. So, really inspiring, to be honest, because translation was something that was needed desperately in UK, because clearly not, especially Dawat Islami engages with youngsters. Not that only youngsters, everyone, but because majority of the people who are part of Dawat Islami, they are youngsters, so they attract youngsters naturally. And it was dire need of the time as well, that nowadays, if we look at it, we can go on Dawasami English websites, and there are
Yes,
hundreds of books that
yes,
are translated into English, but in them days it wasn't.
no,
And
no,
basically it was a big problem. And alhamdulillah, you were lucky enough to translate those booklets, and look at the reward that one would get. Okay, let's move forward. So, mashallah, you would have obviously carried on with the dars and other activities of Dawat
जी
Islami.
जी
But
जी
what
जी
sort of
जी.
led you to thinking that I need to become a scholar? Because that's the sort of a cornerstone of your life.
Yes, I think it's the company that I had, mashallah, the young brothers of a similar age, mashallah, uh, they're scholars today, subhanallah. We would
MashaAllah.
sit together often. We would discuss what the need of the era and the need of our communities. And we realized that if we want to Ahl Sunnat wal Jamaat to move forward, we have to have a certain level of a standard of education, and we must provide others with that level of Islamic education. To do that, either we bring teachers in or we go out our ways and study. And it was inspired by a number of things. We would attend the events, the Sunni events in the masajid. We would see the ulama, mashallah, how well they would deliver important messages and explain aqaid to the masses. And we thought that this is important for us as well, that we need within Dawat Islami people who have a certain level of education in deen, and and because they're born and brought up in the UK, they would relate to the coming generations and hopefully inspire others to follow suit and to study the religion. We knew that without sacrifice among us, actually going forward and doing it ourselves, no one will come from outside and do it for us. So it's our responsibility. If Allah has given us the understanding, the thought to actually study, then we must make our way and try to create a means for us to go to study. And mashallah, we went our ways, and here we are now.
Okay, so that's clearly, a very big motive, initiative that obviously made your mind up. So, what was the reaction of the family when you told your parents that this is what I want to sort of pursue the career in?
Well, I think you've heard this before, and you're smiling already, Dr. Sab. I don't come from a particularly religious family, if to put it that way, a long line of scholars, and I yeah, I was up against it, to say the least. I wasn't successful in getting permission straight away because my family had plans for me in terms of my career and things like that. But I had to really stick at it and convince them. At one stage, I had some relatives actually call me into the room and put me on the spot and say, have you gone mental? Have you gone mad? You're going to Pakistan to study. They're going to feed you. All you're going to have is dal roti there and stuff like that. You can't live in Pakistan and you can't study there. Anything and everything that you can say to discourage someone was probably said, but my mind was made up. So I spoke to my parents. I kept my I was persistent and polite and persistent, not rude and persistent, polite and persistent.
MashaAllah,
I'd like
that's
to
very,
think,
very
yeah.
important.
And mashallah, I think at one stage, I said when I spoke to my mum, and I said, this is, mums are affected a lot, they're naturally very emotional. She was quiet for a couple of days, I think. And then on the third day, she actually mentioned it herself. She said, I saw a dream, and there was a scholar in that dream, and he said something, and I think it's a sign that you should go to study. And I was like, mashallah, I'll take anything as a sign, alhamdulillah. I spoke to my father, and I took him to one side, and I just said, mashallah, you have three sons. Allah has blessed you with three sons. And it's just a case of one son going, and Allah willing, after some time, he will return after studies, and this will be beneficial for you also. And we talk about the shuhada, the martyrs of Karbala. We talk about the sacrifices of the companions, radiyallahu ta'ala anhum. This is a sacrifice for some time, and I'll be back, inshallah. But my father was very understanding, alhamdulillah. He said, I've never stopped you from doing anything before, and if this is what you want to do, then you can carry on.
MashaAllah. So that's very inspiring as well. And last week I was talking to Adnan Madani, who was mashallah another young scholar here in Leicester, and he came across the similar situation that his family were not happy, but clearly he himself was motivated through the Madani channel and so forth. So, but clearly this is now getting more acceptable within the parents as well, alhamdulillah, through the efforts of Dawat Islami. But definitely in your time, it must have been very hard. And also the fact that sending your child to Pakistan. Now,
Yes.
Clearly, this is a big sacrifice that your parents made, and especially your mother. May Allah Azza wa Jal reward her as well abundantly, because clearly, situation in those days in Pakistan, from a security point of view, was not brilliant.
Yes,
And
it was
quite rightly, parents had the concern, but clearly your perseverance paid off, and here we are.
yes.
Now, I can remember I joined Dawat Islami in 2007, and I think our first meeting may have been back in 2007 when there was first 41-day Tarbiyati course for the youngsters that we held in Harris Street. I don't know whether you were there at that time.
Yes.
If my memory is correct,
Yes,
right.
I think I was back on during my holidays, I think it was, and I was back for a few months or something, and a brother contacted me in Yes Sab. I remember now. There was a special tarbiyah session over the summer holidays, and I do remember meeting yourself there. Yes.
Yeah, mashallah. And then I start to see you in the Bordsley Green, and clearly I myself was very motivated through clearly your knowledge and your speech of delivery, and especially when I found out that mashallah you went and studied in Pakistan, because it's not easy. It's certainly not easy at all for a UK born and bred and to go and study in Pakistan from a sort of environmental point of view. Karachi, I think you initially went to Karachi. The
Gigi.
weather there is quite,
Yes.
warm and so forth.
Yes.
So, in terms of your study days, tell us a
Mhm.
little bit about any special events, memorable events during your study days, just from a
Mhm.
lighter side of the discussion.
Yes, I mean, if you want to go lighter side, I can go very light, Dr. Sab, and
That's
you
up to
want
you, mashallah. You are a
uh,
scholar. You know exactly what to say.
you'll end up smiling for the duration. I'll mention a couple of things. Obviously, going to Karachi, and after the struggles, you can say, to actually get to the first destination. When I was there, I realized that the Dars Nizami class, it was due to start in a few months. I had just gone according to my plan, my personal plan, but I met one of the Rakin Shura, Luqman Bapu, and he said, "Look, he said the classes won't start until after Ramadan. So why don't you join a Qafila course of ours and just travel with the brothers, and then after that you can join your Dars Nizami class." Now, he didn't have an idea that I had a background of working within the Islami, so I agreed straight away. I said, "That's fine, Bapu." And I
Mashallah.
remember he was quite shocked because I think he was expecting me to say, "No, no, I've come here to study, so I don't want to be doing kafilas and stuff like that." But because the class was not due to start for a couple of months, I left my home. I didn't want to go back and start relaxing and changing my frame of mind. So I agreed, and the experiences of Kafila and spending time in Karachi in those conditions, I think at one stage I was feeling a bit hot in the masjid, so I decided to go out in the courtyard and sleep there where there was more cool air. Little did I know that uh, other things would affect me. So when I was lying on my side, on my right hand side, with my hand under my face, and I wake up after a good couple of hours daytime sleep, and the brothers are looking at me in shock. "Are you okay, Kamar bhai? Kamar bhai, aap theek hai?" And I'm going, "Ji, alhamdulillah, main theek hu." Every brother I'd go to, Kamar bhai, aap theek hai? Kamar bhai, aap theek hai? So I wouldn't understand. I couldn't understand what was going on. I get to Madani Markaz again, and Luqman Bapu sees me, Rukn Shura, and he looks at me and he looks at the brother who's in charge of the Qafila course, and he says, "What have you done to Qamar?" And he's like, "Bapu, maine kuch nahi, like, aapne kya kar diya?" And because I didn't look at the mirror, I didn't realize what they were saying. When I actually went and I looked at a mirror, half my face, it was literally swollen, I think, with mosquito bites. So I found it quite funny actually, but I didn't take a picture of myself. I should have taken a picture of myself as a memory, but that was before the Alim course days, and then so I was ready to go when the course actually started. I was overworking myself, Dr. Sub,
Mashallah.
because I was trying to read as much as I could, and the caretaker who would tell everyone else to go to sleep. He'd come into my room and he'd say, "Just go to sleep." I said, "Look, I want to read this seerah and cover this seerah book as soon as possible as my extra reading. And don't worry," he goes, "Aap aaram kare, aap aaram kare." So literally every other day, he'd wake me up because my head would be in the book, and I would fall asleep like that, and he'd wake me up and he'd tell me to go to sleep. So that became I had to learn how to pace myself in my study and know when
Mashallah.
to.
Certainly looks
Yeah.
like you have had a lot of passion in terms of, so you were like a bookworm, and clearly you took things very seriously, and
जी,
definitely the I'm sure you would have come across many more difficulties and the tests
yeah.
and tribulations. I just want to engage the viewers. Alhamdulillah, quite a few of you are watching today. Muhammad Ramazan, Abid Hussain, Muhammad Yaqub, we've got Rizwan Rashid from London, and also Harun Rauf, Muhammad Faisal, Sayyid Zaidi. So, mashallah, jazakallah khair for all your
Mashallah.
comments. If you want to ask any questions to Kamar Bhai, feel free. But I do have some questions. Looks like we are going to extend our program today. Clearly,
Okay.
the discussion's moving very well, and obviously our viewers seem to be liking it, and obviously the intention is for other people to come attached with Madani environment of Dawat Islami, and especially for youngsters to join an alim course, and especially to those who are intelligent ones,
Yes.
because clearly the knowledge of deen to learn is not easy.
Yes.
Plus, then to deliver, you need a lot of intellectual ability, a lot of wisdom, a lot of power of speech. And clearly, those individuals who are intelligent, certainly they'll be able to deliver the message much more better. It's individuals like you. And let me tell you, viewers of Madni channel, I mean, it's Allah Azza wa Jal whom He selects to be a scholar. And definitely, scholars have got huge rewards and excellences. And clearly, Allah Azza wa Jal states in the Holy Quran that scholars are the ones who fear Allah Azza wa Jal the most. And in another place, Allah Azza wa Jal says that the scholars are the chosen people of Allah Azza wa Jal. So, Alhamdulillah, definitely Kamar Bhai can say a lot more on that, but that's not our topic today. So you studied and you completed
Mhm.
your studies, and Alhamdulillah, then you came back into UK. How did
Mhm.
it feel? How did the brothers respond to it? That now, mashallah, we got a scholar of deen, and
Yes, I
uh,
think, mashallah, they were obviously from time to time they'd visit me in Karachi or in Rawalpindi later.
mashallah. So they
My
kept in
studies,
touch.
they kept in some of them kept in touch, mashallah, and they were waiting. When I came back, obviously someone who is part of the Jamia, who has been part of the Jamia setup, knows what needs to be done for a system to be put into place. Mashallah, our dear Rashid Madani, Maulana Rashid Madani Saab, he had already arrived to the UK before me, and in terms of studies, he's senior to me, but he was teaching on his own accord. And when I came back with obviously the guidance of our Shura and Haji Abdul Habib, we wanted a proper Jamiatul Medina class to start as soon as possible. We had a preliminary kind of class which was called the Sharia course, and from the Sharia course, we covered obviously Sirah and Fiqh and other topics as a preparation for the Alim course, just to see from that class the students who are serious to and maintain their commitments to study, then they can enroll onto the Alim course thereafter. And that's the way we started our Jamiatul Medina in Borsley Green, Birmingham. But those were the initial stages, and I think a week into my studies, my teaching there, my son was born. So that's how I keep track of how long it's been. And mashallah, we obviously we've been through quite a lot in our Jamia system, and now you're well aware, Alhamdulillah, with the efforts of the responsible brothers within Dawat Islami and the teachers who have worked hard in the background, we have our centers around the UK and our classes
So,
taking place.
Alhamdulillah, let me say here that, mashallah, your role has been crucial in establishing Jamiatul Medina. I know that in Borsley Green, probably you were the main teacher in the early years and so forth. So, you had a lot of input and involvement, and certainly Allah Azza wa Jal will reward you for all that efforts. And clearly, whatever branches we got from there is from obviously
I
Borsley
mean,
Green, and then the
uh,
brothers working in other cities as well.
I think, Dr. Sab, the reason why I left to study and go to Pakistan was one of the reasons was this, that I knew it would be difficult for students to go to Pakistan and spend 6, 7 years of their life there. So the purpose was this, that I go and study, and when I come back, I'm able to provide that service here within the UK for the students who want to study the Alim course. And Alhamdulillah, now we have that service in a number of cities.
MashaAllah. Are you on Facebook?
I used to be. I used to be. I think what happened was there was a bit of discussion about Facebook and our role on Facebook, and I kind of became. I couldn't keep up. I mean, you guys are too quick for me, honestly. I just can't keep up with everyone. So I
Okay.
think what I did was I ended up deactivating my account for a few. I think it's been a couple of years, maybe. I became less active, and then I deactivated my account. I think I was under the impression that it was something which was preferred by our honorable sheikh at the time. Obviously, now it's a different scenario because when something is so widely used, then you have to be on that platform to provide the good alternatives. So this is by no means, mashallah. Otherwise, Dr. Sir, we wouldn't be having this interview, would we, if you went on social media?
Clearly, not
Yeah.
definitely. I mean, one of
So
the reason I asked was that is in terms of the social media, and we've got a
yeah.
question from
Okay.
brother Ilyas as well. That Kamar bhai, Kamar bhai, can you provide
Excellent.
any tips in regards to reading? Today we are hooked
Okay.
on social media and don't
Yes.
find reading pleasurable. So please, any tips for our viewers to enable reading and studying?
Yes. I would say that uh, read little at a time. Don't say I'm going to read for whole 2 hours. Pick a subject or a topic that you're interested in, and even start with a 15 or 20-minute session where you're fully focused in your reading. I picked up a habit from one of my teachers. Um, uh, Mashallah, he was. I've never seen a man read the way he reads. Dr. Sub, when he would be pacing up and down in the Jamia courtyard,
Hmm.
exercising, he would have a book in his hand.
MashaAllah.
You know how
But
difficult.
these are rare examples.
Yes, yes, I know. What happens when you see that, it kind of inspires you to, if that can be done, I should be doing
Hmm.
10% at least. And
Exactly.
one reason why we probably don't read as much is because sometimes for a lot of the social media kind of takes over our lives, and we find it difficult to concentrate. The concentration span has gone. You probably noticed people want short clips, a 1 minute clip or a 2 minute clip for an Islamic message. It's even come down to that. So reading wise, read the obvious things. Read when you're fresh. Read and start off with short durations in good light, a good posture. Make sure you're not sitting awkwardly. Otherwise, Dr. Sub will elaborate on this. You'll have neck pain and pain in your back and things like that. Also, an additional point, I use a very fine pencil, and what I do is any vocabulary or important points, I just with a pencil make a little line and I put down V, or if it's a point, P, or hadith H, things like that. And then it helps me in the future if I need to prepare speeches or things. I focus on those parts of the book. That's just some points. The rest is obviously once you start reading, it opens up a different world to you, and it will increase your desire to read, inshallah.
MashaAllah. Jazakallah khair. Clearly, it's a very long topic in
Yes,
itself.
yes.
We got Brother Faisal, although we've covered, but for his Diljui, he's asking
Hmm.
Ustaz Sahab if you can share a few memories from Karachi that still
Yes.
are forefront of your mind. Yes, you have covered some, but if you could
Okay.
share one more with
Okay.
us.
Okay. I'm gonna share two very quickly. One is very strange, Dr. Sub. I'll share the memory of the ginger cat,
Okay.
the mysterious ginger cat. Every single day at 2:30 a.m., this
Mhm.
ginger cat would come into my room, meow, meow,
Okay.
meow, and wake me up. I would pour some milk into the bowl, and it would have its milk, and then it would leave every single day without fail, as far as I could remember, until they
MashaAllah.
removed all the cats. And this became a bit of a theme, the ginger cat. And some of the brothers who know, who actually visited me at times when they'd come from the UK, they'd look, our lads, they like chatting and talking until late night. So I'm saying to them, look, I'm going to have a rest now. So I'm going to wake up later. So I'm going to sleep. And I'd literally put the chadar over my head and I'd be gone within seconds. That's how tired I would be. And at one occasion, that one of the brothers came up and he woke me. He goes, "Your cat's here! Your cat's here!" And I looked at the time, and it was 2:30, about 2:30, and the cat had come for its milk, and and to wake me up. So that was a very strange thing. We know about the dogs that used to be outside Fazan Medina, and they would take you to Amir Ahl Sunnat's house. I have seen
Sure.
this myself, and many brothers have,
Okay.
mashallah, seen this as
I
well.
have heard about that.
I have
Yeah.
seen this. I have seen it. I've
Okay.
witnessed this, and
Mashallah.
I've also followed the dogs on a couple of occasions. They take you all the way to PIB, where Bapa's house used to be, and they'd come back as soon as
How
he
would you,
reached
would you say anything to the dog that
yeah.
I want to go to Amir Ahl Sunnat?
Sometimes you would. Sometimes they'd say "Papa ke ghar jana hai" or something. Or if you would start walking in that direction, they'd just run ahead of you, and you'd follow them. So I've seen both things happen. As far as memories of Babul Medina, my proudest memory, personal proudest memory, was when Nigrani Shura, and the security was not as intense those days. We had an nishist with the UK brothers coming, and we can be a bit lastminute.com sometimes, Dr. Sub. One of the brothers came up to me like 2 minutes before the Salah, and he said, "You've got to give a dars, and Amir Ahl Sunnat will be here." So can you imagine that? 2 minutes before, I'm being told that I have to give a dars from Fazan Sunnat, and the Shaykh will be leading the prayer, and he might actually attend. So I'm not going to say no. So I said, inshallah, that's fine. So after Salah, Amir Ahl Sunnat was about to leave, and Nigrani Shura whispered something in his ear. If I were to guess, I think he might have said, "There's a brother from the UK. He's going to deliver a dars. If you can encourage him, that would be good for him." I'm guessing here. Maybe he said something else. Bapa sat down. And so I'm reading, delivering a dars of Fazan Sunnat, and my Shaykh is sitting right there. And Alhamdulillah, I was able to deliver it quite well. Now the time came for dua. So there's no way that I'm going to do dua now when the Shaykh is sitting there. So I'm looking at Baba, and I say, and I do that gesture with the hands, and he does it back to me. He goes, "No, you do the dua." So you can't. I mean, it's adab, Dr. Sab. You can't go back and
Really?
forth. It's bad adab if you do it too much. So I did it once or twice, and then I gave in, and then I did the dua. So for me, the fact that my Shaykh was able to look at me, deliver something, and no doubt give me a dua, that was the proudest moment for me while I was there.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah. Jazakallah khair for sharing those personal stories and motivational as well. And I'll always think about that ginger cat. I had
Yeah.
heard about the dogs, and I'm sure there
Okay.
must have been some sort of spiritual significance behind that.
Wallahu wa rasuluhu.
But inshallah, some other time when we meet one to one,
Inshallah.
we may talk about it. Now,
Inshallah.
clearly, you started off with working for Dawat Islami very early, in the sense that you started translating the Urdu booklets into English. So, what has your role been more recently?
Yes, recently, Dr. Sab, I have been working on Kanzul Irfan Sharif, which is the translation of Quran written by our Honorable Mufti Qasim Sahib, Damat
MashaAllah.
Barakatumul Aliyah.
That's amazing.
So, Alhamdulillah, I don't want to get everyone too excited, but now that you've questioned me, I might as well give you an update. From my side, the final version or final draft has been submitted, and
MashaAllah.
this includes footnotes. So we'll have the translation of the Quran, and then some footnotes at the bottom of the page to explain some difficult terms or some background about the verse, or anything appropriate like that, some extra information with discussions. Obviously, I've been having discussions with Mufti Qasim Sahib throughout the project, and this was an idea that instead of just giving a translation, and instead of waiting very long for a long tafsir, we need something in between, something where in one you have a single volume, and within that there are footnotes or enough information to understand the context of a verse, and
So,
have some
mashallah,
understanding.
that's a very, very noble task, and clearly, indeed, Allah Azza wa Jalla has selected you. May Allah Azza wa Jalla rewards you abundantly, your parents, your entire family. And definitely, I can say that something like this in easy English is the need of the time for the youngsters and people who are born and bred here whose main language is English. Now, this brings me to the next question. I have to hurry up because our
Yeah.
program was supposed to be for 30 minutes. This has already
Mashallah.
gone 10 minutes over. But last few
That's my
questions.
fault. That's my fault, Dr.
No,
Sab.
no,
My
Alhamdulillah.
apologies.
This is a very good discussion. So we'll carry on. The last two questions. One is in terms of youngsters. What
Mhm.
message you could give to the youngsters here,
Yes.
especially in terms of joining scholarship
Mhm.
course?
Yes. I would simply say that to enroll for an alim course is the best thing that you can possibly do. So if you're thinking about what is the best way for me to live my life, the best life is a life of knowledge. And obviously, you might think that I'm being biased about this, but from an Islamic perspective, if you fulfill the criteria, if you have the passion and the commitment, and you're able to give the time, then this should be a no-brainer for you. Through knowledge, you will inspire so many other people. If you're thinking about becoming a good preacher, you'll become a better preacher with more knowledge. Knowledge is essential for effective preaching. Knowledge is essential to change and inspire the masses. And it doesn't mean that you have to be an encyclopedia. What it just means is that you have a good grounding in the basic or core sciences of the religion, because the mindset that you get after studying these sciences is that it instills some self-confidence in you. It instills some key skills in you that enable you to go on to bigger and better things and greater things. But the grounding that you get from this study will inshallah make you a better person and a better Muslim and a better preacher, inshallah. So do come forward. Don't think twice about it. If you're thinking about the academic side of things, then that should complement your studies. What I would like to say, Dr. Sab, is I am not a person who dismisses studies, secular studies, if that's what people call it usually. I believe that any teacher of the future or any scholar of the future, he should be well grounded he should have a good schooling. So people pay for grammar test tuition. Even if that wasn't the case, you should, if you need to pay for tuition to improve your English, to improve your sciences, to improve your knowledge, pay for it. But your intention should be that it makes you a better scholar or a better preacher or a well-rounded Muslim. A scholar should not be someone who feels an inferiority complex when he is talking to educated people. You should be confident in who you are, and that comes from a good grounding and enthusiastic study, inshallah.
MashaAllah, there are lots of Madni pearls for me to learn as well, with all the right intentions for my own children as well. May Allah Azza wa
Inshallah.
Jal make them a scholar of Deen as well, just
Ameen.
like you. Final question, although there are lots more questions, but due to the time, we'll call it the final question.
Mhm.
In terms of Dawat Islami, where do
Yeah.
you see Dawat Islami at the present and in the future?
Mashallah, I think Dawat Islami has moved on quite a lot from the day and age where we were listening to audio cassettes of Amir al Sunnat, and we our we would go to different cities of the UK, and we had to introduce ourselves as being from the Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, because people didn't know Dawat Islami. And we had to explain to them that this is Dawat Islami, this is the organization. And then there would be some people from Pakistan who knew of the organization, they would realize, and they would be more accommodating. But now, Alhamdulillah, with social media, with Madani Channel especially, we don't need to introduce ourselves in many places. I think it's just a case of having the right people in the right places. Moving forward in Dawat Islami, I believe that the future of Dawat Islami will be bright, inshallah, if we're able to put the right people in the right places in terms of here for the UK, we need brothers who are born and brought up in the UK to have leading roles, or at least brothers who are able to speak English well and communicate and relate to the generations here, the upcoming generations here, because they're our future. So if we cater for everyone, alhamdulillah, our Urdu side is very strong, amazingly strong. The English side we need to really strengthen, and we have become stronger in the recent past. We just need to move forward by bringing brothers born and brought up here, and giving them leading roles and training them. The one thing that I've learned in Dawat Islami, Dr. Sab, is that once you join Dawat Islami, your aim should be that within a year or so, you create your replacement. We should be creating what we call a ni'mal badal, a better replacement. So when we are actively working on creating replacements for ourselves, naturally the work will improve, inshallah.
Alhamdulillah. Jazakallah khair, Kamar bhai. Although there was one more question
Okay.
from Shakil Hussain.
Okay.
Ustaz Sahab, did you go to a university? Yes,
Yes,
we did in Pakistan. Did you go to a university here?
I did as well. I did.
MashaAllah. What have you done?
As well. I was doing a BSc in computer science at the time. I didn't enjoy it at all, Dr. Saab. I'm sorry, computer scientists out there and programmers, don't have a go at me. I didn't enjoy it. So I changed my route from that university to an Islamic university.
MashaAllah. That's another very important thing, is that sometimes we do choose a path and we may not be happy with it. Then it's very important that you don't remain stuck in that.
Yes.
Because otherwise your life will actually become miserable, not just for yourself and for everyone else as well. Jazakallah khair. Thank you very much for all your pearls of wisdom. Inshallah, we'd like to have you sort of some other time as well. Other Islamic brothers had joined in as well. Thank you very much for your comments. I'm sure many more will actually send their comments after watching the live show and finishes. So again, I hope that we may be able to motivate some of the youngsters, and who knows, the one or two may actually watch this silsila and be inspired to do a Jamiatul Madina course, and there, with the mercy of Allah Azza wa Jal, may become a means of forgiveness for me, myself, and yourself as well. Again, to end it, obviously this is our daily Facebook Live special. It's Monday today. Tomorrow, inshallah Azza wa Jal, every Tuesday, I have now forgotten my jadwal, but I'll be back live again tomorrow with something, inshallah Azza wa Jal. And do keep watching our Lester Fazani Madina. Keep watching Madani channel as well. Support your Dawat Islami with your funds, with your speech, with your actions. Sallu ala al-Habib, sallallahu ta'ala ala Muhammad, sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wa sallam.